Yeah, I've never heard that before until today. So
Yeah, that was new and creepy. It started doing it at work this week.
We have to hit continue.
Can I pick up my laptop and just go lay in bed too? Because
no.
I'll keep my pants on.
Always a fun thing to say when starting the stream. Well,
Yeah.
welcome everybody to tonight's episode of Wizards in Class. God damn it, Chris. So it's been a while since we played. So last time we played, you guys made it to the Calla. You met, it was Caliburn Sturgis. You met a few interesting characters. First and foremost, you met Father Callahan, who was the reverend at the new church there. You also met a bunch of the farmers that lived around there, and you met Andy, a 7-foot tall robot. You learned a few interesting things about the town, that all the children are born as twins, and every generation, the creatures that the town folks call the wolves come and take one of the twins. Those that are brought back are, or those that come back are these giant, simple, mute creatures. You learned that the next time the wolves are going to be there is going to be in about a month. You talked to Father Callahan for a little bit. He told you his story about how he fought a vampire, and ever since he fought the vampire, he's been on the run and being hunted by the low men. At which point he had an interaction with the man in black, and the man in black led him through kind of like a gateway to which led to the Calla, and he decided to stay. After that, you all decided to head east towards where you were thinking the wolves might be coming from, and you came across like a little hill after like 3 or 4 days of travel that had a giant metal door on it, at which point you spent about probably most of the day trying to get the door open, but the door would not budge. And that is where we are picking up. So you are all still at the door in the field. What would you like to do?
Wait,
Go ahead.
we came out of the door, or we were waiting to go in? I forget that.
You were trying to get into the door to get it open, but it was not opening.
And it didn't have a lock or anything for me to
Correct.
jiggly. Yeah, okay. This was outside of my.
Yeah,
I even tried knocking on it, and knock didn't work either.
Yeah, there were no seams on it. There were lights above the door, but the lights were off. You tried shooting lightning bolts at it, but that did nothing but fry the light bulb. You walked all around it, and you saw that the roof of it just kind of gently sloped into the grasslands behind it. You guys talked briefly about trying to send a message to Andy, because I believe Eth has a scroll of sending to Father Callahan to have Andy come out and try and help. But you have not done anything like that as of yet.
Yeah, I think that the problem with that was going to be, we don't know if he would actually get that. If he could talk back, we wouldn't know if we wouldn't know if it would work. So I think the last debate was if we wanted to actually walk back to the town, or to just keep going forward and not worry about.
Well, I think we decided we were going to just go back to town because we felt like this was an important part of the thing, and we felt like we had to do everything in our power to at least try to get the door open. The concern was we need to hunt or something for food because we were low on food because we had, right, PM?
I think that was part of the conversation. Yeah, I think that was part of the conversation of being able to find food, because I think they gave you about a week's worth of rations when you left,
Now,
and
far away is
took
town?
about it took you guys about 4 days to get to where you are, and then you've spent about a day here.
So yeah, so we're gonna have to kill a deer or something. And we established that some of us, Luna and Zare, I think we're the best possible people for it because of their nature tracking, hunting thing. So
Did we see any fauna on the way here?
I believe you guys did. I think you guys looked out specifically for that.
Okay. Then yeah, my vote would definitely be go back to town, because the low men snatching up kids and some of them never coming back, or those that do come back are just destroyed, is something I definitely would want to at least attempt to stop. Are there any objections to going back?
No, I think we need to, because there's a good chance they are coming from this door.
I mean, I don't have a better plan, so go back.
All right, then we're gonna start walking back.
Okay. Just looking at something real quick. Now for the food and water, you do have someone in your group that can take a spell that can help with that. But that's just me saying that, so you know.
I mean, if you guys need time to prepare a spell, I can definitely produce food and water. It's not going to taste like much, but it will be
From
nourishing.
where?
From the love of the goddess. Obviously.
You're just gonna make food and water out of nothing?
I will pray to the goddess and she will provide us with food and water.
Well, that's interesting.
Anybody want to eat and drink goddess love? I mean, that doesn't sound.
Tomorrow I can create water. Now that I
You
know
can
it
create
is-
water too? What the heck?
But
I
mine
mean-
is not mine is not goddess water. Mine is regular water. So
If you give me something to drink, I'll create water too, but it's not a competition.
Is it fire water? Because I don't.
no, it's just regular water, I think.
Well, aren't y'all special?
Molly, you do also have a first level, or you could take a first level spell that could help in this situation as well.
That's what I was looking at for. I saw the water, but I didn't see a food.
You could drink
There is
water.
one. It is
Is
about
there?
a certain berry.
Oh, is that what that one is?
You go ahead and read that spell.
I can also provide nourishment for a day with berries. One berry equals nourishment for a day.
But how good would you say these berries are?
Scale of 1 to 10.
They're pretty fantastic because they last all day.
I mean, that sounds better than goddess love.
But
How's-
they're only good
Biggest
for
berries.
24 hours. So
We need them for one day, right? We have 3 days of rations left. It took us 4 days to get here. We just need to make sure that the last day we have and water.
Is this
That's it.
selective? Can I elect to get the goddess love instead of the berries, or
You can try and pray.
ooh, no? I they're not going to help me.
Question for the DMs.
Yes.
I don't have this prepared now. Do I need to wait until tomorrow?
You would need to wait until the next day to be able to pick your spells and choose that spell.
Now, is that something we can do on a normal night sleep?
Yeah.
Okay, so
So-
we have a day of food, so we'll just get
We have
going.
3 days
And
of
when we
food.
rest, we'll have them go ahead and
I can make berries and water tomorrow, unless you would prefer goddess food. So just for that. But I don't know, like, what is a goddess food like a meal, or is it? How does
It is
that
a
work?
full meal and beverage for several people. However, it doesn't taste like much.
The berry is enough nourishment to sustain a creature for 1 day. So you only need one berry, and it lasts you a day.
As long as you can create one for each of us.
Yeah, I can create up to 10. So we'd all be covered. And they last for 24 hours. So
Think of
We
it
would-
like the chewing gum from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
everlasting gobstopper.
Trademark.
Sorry. The chewing gum from William Wonka and his confectionery store.
Much better.
Okay. Okay, so we'll montage through it, because unless there's anything that you specifically wanted to talk about or do on the 4-day travel back to town.
No, I think we just need to get back to town so we can find out if anybody knows what that is and how to get into it.
Agreed.
I need a montage.
Okay. So for the sake of brevity, you guys are able to get back to town using the last of your rations and the good berries produced by Azair. Nobody turns into a violet, so that's at least good.
Or purple, you mean?
Sorry, no one turns into a berry of the purple color. So you guys are making it back to town. It's probably mid-morning at this point. With all the travel, you see that there are townsfolk that are milling around town. When they see you, they smile. They are friendly and welcoming to you, as they always have been.
Do we need to go to the church to find the fathers? Is that who we came back to see?
Yes. Father Callahan.
Okay. I need
let's
to
go
take
talk to them.
I'll talk to him. That's fine.
Okay.
So I will go to the church.
Okay. You know exactly where it is, so it's not a big town, so it's not hard to see. But you make it to the church and you see Father Callahan is currently sitting in one of the pews with a book open.
Okay. I will walk up. I'll sit in the pew behind him, kind of like clear my throat.
Without looking up, he says, "Yeah, I figured we'd see you back here."
Why did you think that?
Well, there's not much out east, is there?
Well, we actually did come across something that kind of put us into a little bit of a kerfuffle.
Was it a door?
It was a giant door that we were unable to open. We assumed that might be where the wolves, isn't that what they were called? The wolves came
Yeah,
from?
the wolves. Yeah, that is where they come from. It's where they come from and where they head back to once they've taken a child.
So our goal was to get into it to try and stop them from being able to harm the kids here anymore. But there was no way that we were able to open it. Do you know? Do you know if anybody else knows?
He lets out a short laugh and says, "My boy, we have tried to get in that door countless times. The only time that we've ever seen it open is when we have tried to chase the wolves back to try and rescue the kids, but as soon as the last wolf went through, that door closed right up, and we have no way of getting it open. We don't know how it works. We have no idea."
So if you knew that that's where they came from, why didn't you try to like do like an ambush or something? Wait out for them. Get them as soon as they come out of the door. It's not like they would be expecting it.
The folks here have given up on trying to fight the wolves. They've tried in the past and it has gone horribly wrong. And while they don't want their kids to be abducted, they know they stand no chance against the wolves.
So if the wolves keep taking kids and they chase them back and disappear through a door, why don't we just try to destroy the fuck out of the door instead of trying to open it? I guess because we want the kids back? Question mark?
Well, I don't believe the kids are, inside the door, so damaging the door wouldn't damage the kids. Did you try damaging the door?
Nah, we kind of stared at, poked at it, couldn't find any hinges or anything.
I told the orc to take a tree and try and bash it in, but he just wouldn't.
I think you guys did actually try to attack the door.
I
Did we?
I think Zoros took his hammer to it,
Oh, maybe. You might be
but
right.
there was no dent, no scratch, nothing on the door.
We tried heat and ice too, and
Yeah.
nothing worked. We think it's too thick to get anything through it.
Giggity.
That's what she said. So we don't know what our next course of action would be then. I mean, we don't really feel that we can just sit around here for weeks waiting for them to come when we know that we have more important things along the way to do.
When are they supposed to come again?
At this point, about 20 days.
I mean, we could spend 20 days home aloneing the desert around the door to really surprise them. Some paint cans on some strings,
Does the father know of any other things in the woods that they've found that's similar to that door? Are we in there did we all follow US?
I don't know.
I mean, you're
ya?
asking him questions. I would have assumed so.
She just talks.
I was going to say, as far as I know, Eth was the only one that went in.
That I was going in with her.
I thought that we all went in, and then I was confused because Ed sat down in the pew. Like, are we all just standing by the door? Like,
We all Wizard of Oz in skipping, and then all of y'all stayed at the door, and I'm the one who just sat down.
we're just calling questions. Hey,
Exactly.
I mean, that's how I saw it go.
He looks to you, Azar, and he says, they've made some expeditions in the past. I've told you before that time is kind of weird here. I feel like I've only been here for a couple months, but it's in fact been years that I've been here. Time seems to slip, and with that, the world seems to move on, and the world seems to change. They've found, or they've gone out past the door trying to see where it leads to, but every time it comes up empty if the party makes it back at all.
So if time is weird and it seems like a little time has passed, a lot of time has passed, then 20 days isn't possibly 20 days. It could be tomorrow is 20 days.
It could be.
So if we waited around, or if we decided to go and try to set up an ambush at the door, we wouldn't be waiting 20 full days because it wouldn't happen that way.
Or we could like meet them on the way there. And there was that thing where all of us experienced pretty much you, Luna, as like a little girl, and then we went to bed and woke up the next morning, you were you.
Right.
So that's true. 20 days might not actually be that long.
I think we should also talk to the robot guy and see if maybe he has a different one, if he knows anything else, since he just showed up. Also, because he is not organic, if he has a different way of interacting with time.
I think that's a good job for you.
I feel like you and him are best friends, though.
Are we?
So
I don't know about that. The last time I remember,
it was Rancid that was best friends. Was it Rancid
Yep.
that was best friends?
Rancid.
Rancid had a nice long talk with
That's
him.
right. It was Rancid that was best friends with him.
Well,
Sorry.
with the robot?
Yeah.
Oh,
You
yeah.
guys are best friends.
We
BFF.
just gazed into each other's eyes. I remember the robot.
Well, we need to track him down too.
So Father Callahan and says, you know, I know and I understand that you're willing to help protect these children. I will offer my aid in that combat if it should come to that. But I can't leave the Calla here undefended.
So they would need to come here for you to help us.
Yes.
Do you think that with the 7 of us and you rallying the townsfolk, we might be able to get a couple more people who would be willing to fight?
We might be able to. It's been a while since the town has seen some capable people. They're used to just experiencing townsfolk. So seeing that people are here to fight might actually give them the hope to join in the fight.
I think we would be better off than staying here instead of going back to the door and ambush them when they come into town.
Can we fortify the church?
How so?
You know, put all the kids inside the church, protect it from the outsides, make some barricades.
We can.
Faustus, why have we not talked until now? That's a really good idea. You have really good ideas now. Now you're the really good idea guy.
I mean, I figure that instead of protecting the whole town, protecting one building might be a little bit easier.
Yeah,
Yes.
I like that. Okay, so you're talking from now on. Perfect. So at that point, yeah, we'll just need place to stay, things to do. We'll need people to go out and
Together.
get stuff to actually fortify the church with.
Ransom should go look for his robot buddy.
Right.
I mean, y'all are welcome to stay at the church. It's where you stayed when you were here last time. The rooms are still there for you to use.
Were there rooms? I thought we just slept like out on the church floor.
No, there were rooms.
So it's an in church?
More like a church that has extra space in case other people of the cloth decide to come. And
It was a confession.
It's not that kind of church. We're
The man
more of
Jesus.
the Christian side, not the Catholic side. And
No,
those words mean absolutely nothing to any of you.
way to get everybody together.
So
Okay.
looking around, is the church just like made out of wood? Is it like a stone church? Like just going off of Faustus's comment of barricading and using it as protection, can we see?
It is made out of wood.
Okay. Dang, I was hoping it was like stone barricaded
That'd be
towers.
way too
It's
easy.
not a fortress. It's a church.
It could have been
Some
a castle.
catapults.
Trebuchets.
Exactly.
A guillotine tucked into the background.
They just decided to have a moat. Just that's where they baptize people.
Coolest church everywhere.
That's amazing because like you can try to baptize them if it doesn't take. You can just leave the body in the moat as a warning. I mean,
The crocodiles needed so much.
Clearly a non-believer.
Jesus didn't take. Leave you floating.
Okay, so some of us can start scouring the town, spreading the word that we're going to be staying here fighting, while Rancid, you can go and have a little romp in the field with your robot buddy.
I guess I'm gonna go find Andy the robot. Robert.
Okay. So when Father Callahan gets up and walks out of the church with y'all, and he does wave down Reggie, who was one of the leaders of the village, kind of like the mayor a little bit, and he tells them that you all want to help, and kind of tells them your idea of fortifying the church. And Reggie says we can call a town meeting tonight to try and get people to help out with fortifying the church, see if there are any that are willing to fight. But we can make sure everyone is in town tonight to talk about them. Rancent, going to find Andy. Give me an investigation check.
That's gonna be good. Let's find out. Oh, 22.
Okay. You search around the town for a little bit, and then you finally spy him. It is not hard to find a 7-foot tall robot.
I mean, you'd be surprised what I can't find. Once I find Andy, of course, it's like, yo, Andy, it's your buddy.
Well, hello, Rancent.
Oh, he doesn't hate me. I thought he did for some reason.
Why would I hate you?
No reason. You're looking awfully shiny today. Side question. We saw this sweet door out in the middle of a field that doesn't open and has no hinges. You know anything about that?
That is a door that the wolves come out of.
Yeah. So how do we get that open though? If we want to maybe go and like punch wolves or something and not take 20 days.
That door cannot be opened from the outside. That door can only be opened from the inside.
Okay.
It
Is
was
there a way?
made that way by the East Positronic Company.
So you do know some stuff about this door. Can you come tell the smarter people that travel with me what you know of this door?
Okay.
Okay, I'm taking Andy back with me because that's the best I've done in a while, and I'm taking it.
Okay. You lead him back to the church, and all of you guys see Rancent coming up with Andy in tow.
He said something about positive door reinforcements. I don't know, and yeah, but he knows about it.
That is not what I said. I said that door was made by the East Positronic Company.
Yeah, see that.
What is the East
Positronic.
Company?
Positronic.
What does it do?
They do all sorts of things. I was made by the East Positronic Company. And he kind of opens a little hatch in his chest, and you do see on the On the inside of it, it says Andy, artificial intelligence cyborg created by the East Positronic Company.
So what's a positronic then?
It's a name.
Okay, I'll take that.
Did we ask Andy before if he had any information about the wolves themselves?
I don't think you did. I think you asked around town, but I don't know if you asked Andy specifically.
Okay, so at this point, I will say, Andy,
Yes,
what do you know about the wolves that come out of that door?
I know that the wolves are not living creatures like you. They are more like me.
So what weakness do they have?
That I unfortunately do not know, Zoros.
Do you know why they take the kids?
You hear some kind of clicking and whirring going on inside of his head and says, "That I do not know, Luna."
But they're robots. I don't think that's going to help us any.
I mean, it warns us that it's going to be harder to kill them, which it does tell us some about why the town wasn't doing so good.
Andy, do you remember how many wolves came the last time the town was raided?
The number of wolves seem to correspond with the number of children that will be taken. It can depend year generation to generation, depending on how many children are born during that generation.
How many children were born within this generation that will be taken this next time?
You hear kind of the whirring and clicking in his head. Based on my computations, there are 5 children that will probably be taken.
So
And-
we're 5.
Can I
That would
try
be a good assumption.
What was that, Ransom?
Can I try some insight maybe on this robot to see if he's telling us the truth? Because I mean, he's got these numbers, and it feels like maybe he's marking the kids or something.
Sure.
I don't think this is going to go well. Oh, Jesus! Nat 20 for a 22.
Nice.
As a robot, he is generally hard to read, especially since you haven't really dealt with robots before.
Other than a crazy train.
As you're kind of talking to him, you get a flash in your head, and your eyes kind of go snowblind for a moment, and when they focus, you're not standing in the Calla anymore. You are standing in a dark cave-like dungeon, and looking around, you see that there is a catman with you, and a very masculine looking woman, and a gnome wizard, and they're talking to you, and your voice is replying, but it's not you that's speaking it. But anytime that they ask you a question that you know the answer you're giving is not entirely truthful, you hear a clicking and whirring of some mechanical nature, and then your vision goes back to the Calla.
Andy,
Yes,
if,
Luna.
if the wolves are like you, how would we destroy you?
That is a very good question, Luna. I, unfortunately, am bound by one of Asimov's laws where I cannot cause harm to come to a human. And by giving you my weaknesses, you would stop me from protecting these humans, and I could not allow that to happen.
Yeah, I'm not gonna use your weaknesses against you. I'm going to use them against the wolves.
But
So-
you would still know my weakness. Luna,
So-
what is your weakness?
Well, my weakness, men.
So
It,
Andy,
it must be hard to be in this village where there are so many men.
It is.
I wonder how you can function at all.
Well, I have to concentrate on the task at hand for children.
As must I.
Question for the DM.
Yeah.
Now that Andy's mentioned Asimov's laws, is that something that I would be familiar with, being in a technological city all the time?
Give me a history check.
That was not very good. That was a 6.
You spent most of your time learning about medicine and working as a death doctor. You really didn't focus too much on the creation of robotics.
Makes sense.
So at this point, post vision, I'm gonna keep staring off like nothing happened.
Okay.
Because
The
that
same
seems
as usual.
important. No, well, because I don't want to discuss that in front of the robot.
So Andy, do you know? This is gonna sound weird, but we fought a giant bear a while back that had the same company logo on like the skull plate, I think, of the bear. Do you know anything about the bear or anything of, like, why it was created, anything about that might help us with the wolves, maybe?
Hold, please.
Jeopardy music.
Stumped him.
No, there was something I was looking for specifically.
Or why the company was making giant half robot, half bear things.
Well, now let's be fair. If you could, why would you not?
This is fair.
I'm just saying, like, that logic checks for me at least.
Why would you send it out into the world? Like, hold on to the bear.
So as you mentioned the bear, you hear Andy just say, see the bear of enormous size, all the world within its eyes.
That sounds familiar.
So the robot's high, and that's nice.
That's what we
That
heard.
is a poem about Shardik,
Right.
one of the creatures of the beans.
Beans like BEANS or
BAMS, beans.
Oh,
Because
beans.
the tower had beams, I think. Did we discuss that a while ago with Roland, I think?
Yeah, the tower, there are,
Following in the sky, isn't it?
yeah, it's basically you guys are on the
Okay.
path of the beam.
Okay, cool. I followed something.
I heard beans.
Rancid heard beans too. It's cool.
Either way, I would have followed it, something shiny in the sky or food.
So Shardik was, from my notes, which I kept as Faustus, was a design for Guardian. Are you similar to that? And are the wolves similar to that? or are you all different designs?
You hear a strange sound coming from Andy that just kind of sounds like a almost as if you think he's laughing. And he says, "My young Faustus, I am not a guardian of the beam. The guardians of the beams are all organic creatures."
Are you working with the wolves at all in your job of protecting the town?
He kind of looks at you a little bit strangely, and you hear very faint clicking and whirring in his brain, and he just kind of looks at you and says, "I am here to protect the children, my dear Azair."
You're here to protect them from what?
Can I hit insight against that again while he's replying?
Sure.
Get another hit of that.
22.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, 21. Counted one off.
Staring at out in the distance, hearing that, there's something about the clicking and whirring that you're hearing that is just sparking something in your head.
Can I insight against my own memory? The
No.
fractured memories?
I mean,
It's a weird question. Like, can I try to insight the vision?
for what specifically?
I'm trying to remember what would kill me for that ransom.
For that, you'd have to give me a history check.
Okay. Okay. Nat 20 with +4.
Okay.
So 24.
You remember that getting shot with lightning doesn't really seem to do much good. But you don't really remember much else. I am here to protect the children from any harm that may come their way, Luna.
Yes, but do you think that when the wolves take the children, they're harming them?
That I do not know.
So you would protect them from the wolves, so if we have to fight, you're gonna fight with us?
That is a possibility.
We get a yes or a no, or it sounds like a maybe.
That's because it is a maybe.
What would we need to do to get you to say yes?
He kind of thinks for a moment. Well, I would have to trust that you are truly here for the children.
Fair enough.
Andy, where do you believe the safest place for the children to be?
This town does not have a lot of fortifiable locations, but this new church would house enough people to protect them if it can be fortified.
I think that's enough anti-questions, and we'll have to think about fortifications, maybe?
I think you,
To figure out what we're gonna do to fortify the
Wink.
church
yeah,
for tonight.
I think we might need to circle up and discuss our fortification methods group.
Yes, thank you for your time, Andy.
You're very welcome, F. Thank you.
We definitely hope you'll come back and help us.
And I definitely hope that you will stay around to protect the children. And he turns around and walks off, whistling a little tune.
When
Sorry.
he gets far enough away, I don't trust that thing.
Yeah, like something's up with that robot.
I mean, we all heard the vision thing. I don't have to recap it, right? When he relayed it to me, or you want me to recap it?
I mean, that's up to you.
Can you just say you recapped it to us and like?
Yeah. I mean, I'm recapping it to them, which was basically, I vaguely remember being a robot and zapping the shit out of me with lightning didn't work, and I was still pretty hard to kill. And that's all I remember from the fracture, other than I can tell he's lying about something. So
the word click means he's lying.
I can't explain it. He was having to think too hard. Wasn't an automatic answer, I think, with the clicking.
I think he definitely knows more about the wolves than he is saying. But I just don't know what. I don't know if he knows more about how to destroy them or take them on. But it worries me that he's not willing to share that. And he's from the same company that he may not, he will turn on us. I know
he didn't answer our questions completely either. He just, whenever I asked him, if he was working with the wolves and all of that, he completely evaded the question, which
he said he's protecting the kids.
Yeah, it speaks of more intelligence because he evaded the part about working with the wolves, but also is suspicious because he didn't answer whenever we asked him a couple of the different questions.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the best I can figure out from him being weird, the vision, and the insights is he thinks the wolves are safer than the adults, maybe? Because he said he's protecting the children. So if he thinks that the adults or the town is the threat, you'd send him the other way.
He said fortification, which the buildings around here, I mean, he's right. If the buildings are wood here and the wolves are in where we can't get in, that building is stronger than the buildings here in the village. So yeah, the kids are going to be safer there, but what they're doing to the kids in there might not be safer. So I don't know what kind of.
It seems like it might, because they come back all twisted and stuff. It might be related to that whole, the time being funny too. How the passage of time's weird.
Technology stuff. Obviously, I don't know. Rancid, you said electricity doesn't work, so Luna is lightning.
Yeah, lightning, I at least know that much is lightning doesn't hurt.
Fire robots. Or ice. F has fire. I potentially have ice.
I have, let's see, Witch Bolt's not going to help any.
I mean, we have like swords and stuff, but since we don't know what they're made out of, we don't know if we could slice them or smash them. I mean, they might be made out of something that we've never seen before.
Only one way to find out, though, for that.
Exactly.
I mean, we did fight that giant bear that was made by the same folk.
But it wasn't full metal, right? It was like
partial.
It just had metal plates in it. So
did we do anything to that metal?
Electrical, we need to use water.
True, water is.
Well, the wizard at one point drowned me.
Did that work?
Not this one.
Not really.
I mean, that's something that if we have a little bit of advance, I can gear up a couple different elemental things. I can have water, air to throw them and see if we can get them high enough to crash.
I mean, impact's a good idea. Maybe freezing them in place or something that holds them around.
Vines to hold them.
Yeah.
I mean, impact I think would be better with the hammer and the swords, the guns.
It's slow them down so we don't die. really. I mean,
The only problem with like holding them is you all would be slow too, because you all would have to trek through everything.
I don't. I'm not affected by difficult, so I'm not worried about it, at least.
But we could try, I mean, since now we know that they're not at least completely organic, we would have to, I guess, prepare a couple of different things in advance for anybody who can and see what all is possible.
Yeah. It's just going to be what it is when they show up, if we die or not, I guess. I don't think the town has much for weapons, right? We've established it's mostly like farming and wimpy buildings.
Yeah.
Pickaxes and shovels is what I'm guessing.
I wonder if we can find a cave or something and choke point.
Are there any mountains or mountainous areas or like any cave-like system things that we see around the town?
You see to the north there are some mountains, but they look quite a ways off.
I don't know if they got a building we could fortify one and stick the kids in there so we could choke point that maybe. But I mean, if the buildings are wimpy, they can just knock a hole through the side.
I mean, that was Faustus's whole idea with the church.
Yeah.
The church was good. That's what I thought. We already agreed on the church. We just need to figure out how we're going to fortify it.
I mean, take whatever else is around. If the rest of the buildings are, I don't know. It depends on what they'll give us.
Yeah, so they're having the town meeting tonight. So
Yeah. I mean, we talked to the robot and he said, yeah, fortifications, but you know.
I mean, if we make enough ditches around the church, we can try to get the wolves to come from just one direction.
Yeah, because dogs definitely don't swim.
I mean, holes, pit traps.
I know. I'm just kidding. I'll start sharpening sticks. Don't worry.
Okay.
Okay. So the night comes, and you do see that Reggie has spread the word to the towns and the farms on the outskirts of the towns. And you do see a pretty decent sized grouping of adults. You don't see any of the kids around, but they are standing outside of the church. And you see Reggie is standing up on top of the steps of the church. And when he sees you all approach, he kind of raises his hands for the milling crowd to quiet down, and he kind of looks at them for a moment before speaking, and he says, "It has been far too long that we have faced our children being dragged off by these wolves, while we sit back and do nothing to protect them. My sister was taken, the same as your sisters and your brothers before you. These folks here have agreed to help fight the wolves. With them, I think we have a chance to do what we have never been able to do before. To rise up, to protect our children and fight." You kind of start seeing some of the crowd start to get kind of a look of hope on their faces. They have a plan to put all the children in the church, to fortify the church, try and make it as protected as it can be, while they face the wolves. Is there anyone here that will help to protect the church? Anyone here that will fight for their children? And you start seeing hands just raise up, a little tentatively at first, and then more and more and more, until about half the group has their hands raised. Those that do not wish to fight can hide in the church with the children and keep them calm and safe as you can, while the rest of us will try to fortify, put up as many barriers as we can, dig some pits, and set up some pikes to try and protect the church as best as we can. We have 18 days, as far as we can count, before the wolves come again. Everyone, lend us all of your support. Lend us all of your equipment that we can help build a better church to protect the children. I'm willing to die to protect these kids. And I would not ask anything of any of you that I am not willing to do myself. So please help in any way you can. And I swear our children will be safe. And he takes a step off the church and off the stairs, and you hear the entire crowd just erupt in a roar of cheers and applause. And you see some of the guys kind of walking around, just kind of psyching themselves up a little bit. And he comes to you and says, well, I think you have the answer from the town. We're willing to help.
I guess. Oh, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, let's get to work.
So, do we need to figure out some kind of backup plan in case we have to restrain Andy too? Or had
Yes.
I mean, I wonder if the town. What I was thinking about is how long ago did Andy show up? Was it close to when the wolves did? I don't know if we ever had that discussion.
Andy has been in this town for generations.
And the wolves have been here for generations, right?
Correct. I was not alive when he came.
Then I would imagine that if he would have helped the wolves, he would have done so by now.
Or he is.
Helping by counting the kids and sending them information.
Do y'all think that Andy is helping the wolves?
He's very suspect.
I mean, I've known Andy my whole life, and Andy would never harm a fly.
Well, let's hope you're right.
We're not accusing anybody of anything at this point in time. We just want to have all of our bases covered just in case.
We've had a lot of strange things happen, and we don't want to be taken by surprise.
Fair enough. Why don't you all get a night's rest? We can start planning the fortifications tomorrow and see what the townsfolk can provide us to help with it.
Actually, would it be possible for the families of the children to stay in the church tonight? We'd like to set up some guard shifts during the night just to make sure the wolves don't come early.
That's fine by me. I don't think they would complain.
Is there a place I can find a new bow around here?
We really don't have much in the way of bow crafting. Let me ask around and let me see what I can try and find.
Thank you.
And with that, he turns and bids you all have a good evening and walks. He talks to a couple of the adults that are standing around, and they all nod enthusiastically and run off to grab their children to bring them back to the church. And you see there are 4 sets of twins that are brought to y'all.
Or is anybody missing? Didn't Andy say that he believed there were 5 this generation?
That is what he said.
Yeah.
Are we sure that this is all of the children?
Who are you asking?
Any of the families?
Yeah, any of the townsfolk.
Uh,
The real trick might be to ask the kids who else they play with. Because they probably wouldn't lie.
Grant's ain't your kid friendly.
No, I am not.
Don't let Randy
Not
out.
unless they're being made into a soup. I think that's the opposite of what we want here. So,
you ask one of the parents that brought their twins and said, well, there's Benny Slightman who isn't here, but other than him, this is all the kids that are here in this generation.
Benny Slightman is what you said?
Yes.
Does he have a twin?
or did he have a twin
He
possibly?
did. He had a twin sister who died when she was very young.
Okay. But he's of this newest generation.
Correct. He's the same age as my son here.
Was there a reason why they didn't show up tonight? Or
I mean, if it's just him, they might not be afraid that he'll be taken.
That I don't know. You'd have to go talk to Reggie about that.
Because, like, for example, if his twin sister died when they were like 1 for some reason, they may not think that he would get taken if it's just him and not a twin, actually. I don't know.
Well, it's still a twin. They just don't realize it.
Right.
Don't think about it, I guess.
I think we should try to get them to come too, just to be on the safe side.
And we need some people to stay here and some people to go figure out where they are, make sure nothing happened.
I can stay here and watch the townsfolk.
And I go with the wizard.
Okay. We need at least one person, I think, with weapons to stay.
I can stay.
I have weapons.
But you have weapons too, yes, but like,
I wouldn't mind backup, no, but I'm like, I have rapiers. Look, they're mitten to my arms. I stabbed
My
things.
weapon is magnificent.
Maybe we could just ask the parent to,
trying to cover like all the bases of everything.
Feel insulted. I have weapons and spells.
I was gonna say, I thought you were using spells now.
No, it's still primarily rapiers.
Ask the
Okay.
parents to what,
My
Luna?
apologies.
to go and ask the parent who knows the child if they can go see if they can get him to come. And we don't send anybody, we're just sending somebody who knows the child to round him up and bring him back to the church.
True, but if there's danger for some reason,
Well,
I can
I was
go.
gonna say you would probably be the best with the little kids. So you want to like escort one of the parents?
I can go on my own. I just am not very strong. So
I mean, I can go. I don't mind either. I just usually follow the wizard.
well, I will go. I can take if one of the parents, I'll ask one of the parents if they want to, if they could come with me to talk to the parents of Billy.
Benny.
Benny. see if they'd be willing to move in the church just in case the wolves may have information that's incorrect, since we now know that they are not entirely human.
Or perhaps Andy's now fed them information since we're trying to barricade too. Because he
I
did
mean-
run immediately off.
The parent that you were talking to says sure, I'll take you to the Slightmans. He leads you a little bit through town, and you come across a house that's a little bit grander than the other houses, and says this is where Reggie and Benny live.
Okay. I'll walk up to the door and knock.
Okay, you knock. After a couple of minutes, Reggie opens the door and he says, "Oh, is there? What are you doing here tonight? I wasn't expecting you all."
Hey, Reggie. Were you at the town meeting? Did you hear everything that we were talking about with the kids and the church? And
Reggie
all
was the
that?
one that gave the speech.
That's what I thought, but he didn't show up at the church. So we didn't see you guys at the church, and we were just wanting to make sure that you guys were safe. We don't want anything to happen to your son, and we were hoping you guys would come and stay at the church with us so we can make sure that you all are safe and nothing happens if the wolves show up early, just in
Well,
case.
I appreciate that, Azair, but don't worry. Andy lives here as well, and he can sound off some sort of alarm if anything were to happen.
Well, on that point, what do you think of? Well, I might need to talk to my group first. Well, hold on a second. I'll be right back.
Okay.
I'm going to go back to my group. This is why I don't interact with people. I'll be thinking this.
So you were successful, I can see.
I'm going to come back to my group and tell them, this is why I lived in the woods by myself for a while, a long time, actually, not just a while. He wants to stay in his house with Andy because Andy can set off some sort of alarm. I thought about bringing Andy here because then we could watch him. But if Andy's not good, then
Side whisper.
So I was thinking if we still have that messaging scroll with that, I could just sit on top of the house all night and take the rank of exhaustion. Because I can sit there stealth all night. I don't even need the messaging scroll. I guess I could run, but I'd rather keep an eye on it, you know?
and we just leave them in the house, but if it's going to be another 18 days, you can't sit there for 18 days.
I gotta sleep at some point, yes.
I mean, we could just take shifts, but I'm afraid that would be the one house that would definitely be hit, even if there's not a twin for them, because it seems like the whole twin thing is a compare to see what happens.
Whole different idea. I just go steal the kid.
No, please, let's not do that.
I say we just bring it.
What happened to the child? Who's this?
I'm putting it out there. I get that kid in the church real quiet like.
No, but let's go with Reggie's logic. Andy can set off an alarm, or so he says. So the safest place to be is in the church with Andy.
I agree. We need to keep him closer so we can keep an eye on him. And if he does set out an alarm, we will know then that they're coming.
Okay, so we're all on board with this idea that I take back of all three of them coming here to keep an eye on everything.
So what if they don't?
Who wants to come with me?
I'll go with you. It's fine. But I'm just wondering,
That's
like,
not gonna
what
help.
if they don't? You know, where are we going?
At that point, we can't force them to come. If they want to risk having the kid taken by the wolves, then at that point, we're just going to have to let them take that risk.
So,
Reggie
so
wants to protect the town. So I'm thinking if Andy's with all the rest of the kids, it will help protect the town better. And if we are able to, I can't think of the word.
yeah, I was thinking if we could
Appeal to that
persuade him to be,
Murder? Oh no,
Reggie.
that's the wrong word.
No, you're right. We don't need to convince Reggie. We need to convince Andy.
and all we should have to tell him is logically if
true.
he has to protect the kids, more of the kids are at the church.
Yeah, we need
So-
to bring the one child to the rest of the children, not keep one child from the rest of the
But the
children.
problem becomes he doesn't think it's an issue because it's not a twin, I guess, was the right. We went through that.
No, the parent doesn't think it's an issue. They don't know. We don't know why the parent didn't come really because we didn't ask.
Reggie thinks it's fine because Andy's with him.
Right. Okay.
It's just them three. I don't know why I didn't ask.
Happens.
I didn't know what to do, guys. I ran away.
I could have saved
We've
more.
all been there.
So
Someone
here is
come
my
with me.
suggestion.
I don't know how to talk to people. I was either going to get angry or I was going to run away.
Or murder somebody.
I was going to try fire, and we know how that ends.
Exactly. So here's my suggestion. Azair and Faustus, you two go back to the home. Faustus, you can attempt to convince Andy that it's really important that he bring the kid to the church. That way he can watch all of the kids at the same time. If not, it's going to be murder bill time.
I'm just saying these are all wooden structures. She's got some fire. If they don't have anywhere to stay, a fire start. They got to go to the church.
Church is the only thing left.
No, we're not setting houses on fire. That is not what we do.
I don't think that.
That's not what you do, sir.
I won't do that.
What was that, Luna?
We want to be protecting the town if we light the town on fire.
Correct.
Let's just give them a choice, and if they choose not to come, then they choose not to come.
Yes, okay, let's go talk to them, see if we can figure out a little bit more about what's going on, convince them it would be safer for everyone to be in one spot.
All right, let's go.
Okay, you make it back to the Slightman's house.
It's your turn to knock.
Claire calling? I don't know.
So I'll knock on the door again.
Okay.
Not-
After
not-
about a minute, Reggie answers. Well, hello, Faustus.
Reggie, I hear from Azair that you are deciding to stay by yourself with just Andy and your son.
Yes.
Don't you feel that it would be safer for all the kids if Andy was around?
Possibly. I'm not personally worried about the wolves coming tonight. It has been like clockwork all the other times.
Okay, that is fair, but many things have been changing. I mean, the last generations you didn't have a group like us around.
So you're saying you need Andy to protect all the kids, that you can't do it?
No, we're going to put our lives on the line to protect all the children, but we would prefer to have all of our resources available.
Roll a persuasion check.
Should have took the rogue.
19 on the die.
You can take Andy. But Benny and I would prefer to stay here tonight.
Is there, Reggie? Is there something going on that you prefer to not go into the church?
With all due respect, Faustus, in 18 days, we could all be dead. Benny could be gone. I want his possible last days here in the house that he grew up in, the house he remembers his mother in. I want him to have fond memories and not to remember huddling together scared.
I can respect that. Um, I'll give him my hand to shake. Do
He
you have
shakes
a
it.
weapon in the house?
I have some things, yes.
All right. If you need anything, we'll be around.
I mean, y'all aren't far. It's only a couple blocks to the church.
All right. Well, you take care, Reggie.
Did you want me to send Andy with you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. He calls back, Andy, you're going to the church. Okay. And then Andy comes and exits the house. Well, hello, Faustus. Hello, Azir.
Hello.
I hear we
Hello,
are going
Andy.
to the church.
We sure are.
Lead the way.
Let's get going.
Okay. He starts walking back towards the church. And you hear the door close quietly behind you.
I mean, gotta respect a man that wants to give happy memories to his kid.
True. I feel like I should have said something about like, there's other kids there. We can play games, but I feel like that would have been awkward. Wrong time.
You?
Okay.
What?
You guys make it back to the church with Andy with you. By this time, all of the other families have moved inside the church and set up little rolls where they're going to be sleeping for the night.
All right,
Anything y'all would like to do before turning in?
All right. I will let the group know the reason for Reggie. You know, he wants to give happy memories to his kid in the case that he gets taken.
I mean, that almost sounds like he plans on him to get taken, though.
I mean, if the wolves take the twins, or at least one of the twins, it's basically guaranteed that the wolves are taking his son.
But he believes that he's got 18 days before he has to worry about it. I think
Yeah.
that's the reason he's not leaving. He believes he has 18 days. We're just not sure 18 days is actually 18 days.
How long have we been in this weird timey town at this point?
8 days
Well,
or so. Well,
in their time
so
or normal
in the
time?
Calla in general, you've been in the Calla about 8 days. You stayed the night when you first got there, and then the next day you set out east, and that took basically 7.5 days to get to the door, mess around with it, come back. So this would be like the 8th day that you are in this general area.
But so we keep seeing the weird time stuff. Does that happen to the whole Calla or just in the town, or like?
You have not seen any weird time stuff happening in the Calla.
I thought the passage of time was weird. I thought they'd mentioned.
That's what
that.
someone told you.
Okay,
You
that's
have not experienced it.
gotcha. Okay, I thought we experienced it when we got closer to the doors and the terrace.
Nope.
Okay.
I think we had the weird time thing with Luna and her.
Yeah, the only weird time things that you guys have experienced, F experienced the weird time thing after the cave, talking with the man in black, where he fell asleep and it felt to him like a night, but the bones in front of him looked like they had been there for hundreds of years. And then in Luna's door, just watching her, like kind of overnight, watching her go from, 8-year-old kid to 18-year-old woman.
Okay. Yeah, I guess the only other weird time thing we've had is Faustus' inability to use his ability.
That is very true. Okay, you guys are able to turn in for the night. The night passes, no incident. Next morning, roosters are crowing, bright, sun shining, blue sky. As you leave the church, you do see that there's the table that you that was set up when you first got there for the feast is set up again. But instead of food, there is paper kind of spread out all over it, and there is a group of people, including Reggie, Father Callahan, Andy, and they're all kind of looking at the paper, pointing and talking amongst themselves.
All right, it's time to get to work. I'll
Go
get down to the
switch on
table.
Okay. When you get closer, you see that there's a blueprint of the church, and there are a bunch of other papers from different like families and farms around the area. That's almost like an inventory sheet of what people have and what they could spare to fortify. On the blueprints, you see Andy kind of writing with the pencil and marking areas on the blueprint that could be a little bit weaker and what can be done to fortify it. You do see a map of the Calla, and on it are like little circles of areas that pits could be dug, or little barricades could be put up as well. I mean, you see they're already into planning how to fortify and prepare for the attack.
That's kind of problematic. How close are we to them at this point?
Well, Faustus and Luna walked right up to the table.
Okay. Well, the other ones I'm going to talk to and say, that seems problematic if the robot's in on it and making the fortification plans.
Yeah, I don't know that they took that necessarily too seriously.
Faustus, give me an intelligence check. And Luna as well. You can give me an intelligence check.
12.
Yeah, that's fine. 18.
Okay. Faustus, you haven't had a whole lot of work or past history with dealing with engineering. Luna, from your time in school, you're kind of looking over the blueprints of the church and all the different fortifications that Andy has marked down, and you can't seem to find a flaw in any of them. He seems to be marking down the areas that could seem structurally weak and easy to breach, and is providing how best to fortify them. And I mean, looking at it, it looks legit.
Yeah, I think that this all looks fine, and I think that if we spend every minute second guessing what the robot's doing, we're gonna spend a lot of time, wasted time, when we should be working on fortifying. I suggest we just keep an eye on him, see what he's doing, but continue the best we can to get this set up.
As you're kind of looking around, as you're talking to it, you see a couple of the women walking up to your group with a couple of boxes, and they kind of approach and say, Miss Luna and Mrs. Zare, can we speak to you for a minute?
Sure. What do you guys need?
Well, come follow us. This isn't really talk to be had amongst the men of the town.
Okay.
I hear this and attempt to become the wind and follow.
Okay, go ahead and give me a stealth check.
23.
Okay. You feel pretty stealthy. The women lead you to kind of behind a couple of the buildings, and they turn and say, well, Reggie came asking, they said that you needed a new bow.
Yes, I want to have an extra just in case I try one of my spells and it fails, it will break my bow, and I want to make sure I have another one.
Well, we don't have bows here, but we kind of did some digging around, and we actually found something you might be able to use. It's a weapon. Well, some call it a weapon. That's been kind of passed down amongst the generation of women from mother to daughter over the years. And they open the boxes, and inside you see these large plate-sized metal rings. These we refer to them as the plates of my mother. It is something that is passed down only from mother to daughter. It is not something that the men here have ever trained in, but something like this was used in the original attack against the wolves, but they didn't really work very well. So over the generations, we've kind of worked on trying to make them stronger and make them tougher. And she pulls out one of the plates, and it looks kind of like a metal, almost like a metal frisbee, but the inside of it is empty, save for kind of a little tilting bar that goes from one side to the other. And she picks it up and she holds it from the metal, and you can see that it is extremely sharp around the edges. This weapon can be thrown, and it actually, when it hits the target, it'll actually come back to you. And she nods to one of the other women and says, why don't you go set up a couple of the boxes? And so she says, okay. And she goes and sets up a couple wooden crates. And she says it can take a while to get used to these weapons, but she holds it and she looks at the boxes, and after about 30 seconds, she just reels back and just throws the plate at the boxes. And when it leaves her hand, you just hear this high-pitched whistling sound that goes and strikes the box and cuts a huge gash into it before kind of bouncing back, and she deftly catches it with a flourish. We thought that you might be able to use these and they might help you a little bit.
Could, when you said that you've tried them before and they didn't work, were they as sharp as they are now, or have you sharpened them and made them more knife-like?
Back when they were originally made, they were made out of ceramic. It was all that the women really had to work with. So when it hit the wolves, they just tended to crack and then fall to the ground. We've spent a long time trying to perfect them, making them out of metal now. So we don't know how they're going to work, but it could be something that could be good for you.
I think we can give them a shot. We really appreciate it.
Would you be able to give us some lesson in how to use them?
You see her face and the face of the other women there just light up, and they're like, "Oh yeah, sure." we have 17 days. We can work with you each day on how to use them and kind of make them feel comfortable for you.
That would be needed. Definitely.
Awesome.
So in both of your inventories, I put the plates of my mother. So you have those. When she gives you each 2 plates. And when she gives them to you, Luna, when you're kind of looking at it, you see that there are holes that are cut around the ring that kind of give it its whistling sound, but not all of the holes go all the way through. And you think that you might be able to apply some of your oil inside those other holes to have it have the same effect as dipping an arrowhead into it.
This is going to be perfect.
Now, I will warn you that as you're getting used to it, if you don't throw it right, it's not going to come back. It's just going to kind of land where it through. So you got to work with it to make sure you're throwing it right.
That's why we need our practice. And we need to practice when it comes back to us. There's not a chance we're going to end up cutting our fingers off.
Oh no, we'll teach you how to catch it and how to make sure that you guys don't get hurt with it.
Okay, good.
It's basically, imagine Xena's chakras. Those are pretty much what they look like.
Sweet. Yeah.
Do you have to scream like that when you throw them too?
No, please don't.
Oh.
I could though.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Guess what? You miss every time you throw it. Weird.
Darn, you got a 30? That just misses. Its AC is a 31 for you.
Weird.
I'm sorry.
You rolled an 11? Oh yeah, that hits.
That was hardly worth my skulking.
What were you saying, Luna?
I'm sorry. I missed what they were called again.
They are the plates of my mother.
My mother.
Yep. And it's in your inventory.
I'm excited.
So your inventory?
What else is here?
Hey, you could throw the plates in the air and I can shoot them. Wow, that was hurtful.
So with that, they spend a couple hours with you guys, showing you how to throw them, how to catch them, how to practice with them. And she says, if you want, just come back and find us each morning, and we can spend a couple hours practicing with them to get ready. We can do that, and spend the rest of the day trying to help fortify the church.
Perfect.
I have a question for the DM.
Yes.
If I put my potion in there, and let's say I do the one that does ice, if the roll is wrong, will it destroy them like it would my bow?
Nope. Metal doesn't break. Metal's not frigid like that.
Question for the DM.
Yes.
One of my cantrips is mending. Can I fix Luna's bow if it breaks if her spell goes wrong?
Possibly. It can depend on if the bow is broken into, if the bow's like shattered. If the bow were just to like break into 2 pieces, yeah, you could mend that together. But if it shattered into multiple pieces, you'd have to make sure you found every
It shattered.
And even if a splinter is missing, it won't work.
And it would shatter into hundreds of pieces.
Okay. But if she did like her lightning one or something and it just like.
The ice one is the only one that has a chance of breaking her weapon or her bow.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I misunderstood the spell work. I was just thinking she would have to.
Yeah. She only really ever does the lightning one, but yeah, each of her three have different pros and cons to them.
Okay, cool. Just checking. Thank you.
No problem. So you guys, when the women are down there, saw the men, you see that carts are being brought in from the farms outside of town, loaded with wood and shovels, digging equipment, all of that sort of stuff. And you see the men start to go to work to start fortifying the church. Is there anything that y'all would like to do?
Help fortify however I can. Pick up heavy objects, move them around. I'm
Okay.
not skilled labor, but
Okay, yeah, you're able to help, and then they kind of tell you what to do, what goes where, who to bring what to whom. And the day passes, just hard work, hard labor. The fortification doesn't go super fast, but it looks like it's made some progress and it's on its way there. And with that, because I think this is actually a pretty good stopping point, we will pick it up from there in a couple weeks. Well, thank you everybody for watching and listening. Hopefully you had fun. If you do, drop us a comment. I'll post this video on YouTube tomorrow, but we will see you in 2 weeks. Have fun, have a good weekend, and have a happy Memorial Day. Bye.
Bye.